Hey, what's up, everybody? Before we get into it, disclaimer: I am a little I have a little cold, so if I have any horrible coughing or sneezing attacks, I apologize for that in advance. But I just had one, so hopefully that doesn't happen. Right off the bat, some good news. Last video, which was 2 weeks ago, I talked about an Iceland trip that I was trying to get into, and it's looking like that's actually going to happen. So that's amazing. That'll be next May to the end of June, so I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully I can bring, well, actually I won't be bringing my phone along, obviously, so hopefully I can get some videos and from that, and you guys can join me for that awesome adventure. On top of that, it was last weekend, last weekend, not this one we just had, but the previous one. Me and a sweet mate went to visit Nathan, and I should have gotten videos of that, and unfortunately I didn't, but I think that's where we got the cold, because Nathan was sick as well. But that was really fun. We went around town. Flagstaff is a really cool city, and had some Raising Cane's. That was fantastic. I hadn't had that since Southern California, so yeah, that was a really fun trip. Now into what I wanted to talk to this video. Nothing new on the college side, but I thought I'd kind of steal Nathan's idea and do some story time. So I'll just get right into it. So this was 3 summers ago, I think. It was the summer after sophomore year, and I went on a trip to Canada with my Boy Scout troop. And we went canoeing in wilderness preservation in Manitoba for about a week. And in that itself, I think a lot of people would agree that's really cool. It was one of my best experiences ever. A lot of cool things happened. There was a ton of rain, but that was all right. We were wet constantly, pretty much, unless we were in our sleeping bag. Cool things, there was like blueberries everywhere, so like if we were portaging or taking our canoes across land to another lake or something like that, you could just stop and take a break and get a handful of wild blueberries and stuff yourself from that, so that was pretty amazing. But in this week long of being in the middle of nowhere, there were a lot of challenges, and with those challenges came a lot of hilarious stories, so I think I was going to share some of them with you. So the first thing that happened is our friend DePaun, he was one of the boys in my troop. He's a little crazy, and he isn't always the brightest. He's very book smart. I think he goes to UC Davis, which is a very good school to go to, so good for him. But he didn't bring a belt, all right? And like I said, we had to portage, so that means you carry all your gear on your back, and one person has to carry the canoe on their shoulders over land, all right? And the canoe is the heaviest and the most clumsy, as you might imagine. We had to take turns doing that. So whenever it was DePaun's turn, because he didn't have a belt, whenever he'd put the canoe on his shoulders, his pants would always fall down because he couldn't hold them up, all right? Now, that doesn't sound too bad when you think it's just like the 6 of us, right, in the area. I mean, we're all guys, so it doesn't really matter. But the problem was, he would trip over them, and these portages weren't just over flat ground, all right? These were over like hills or, you know, smooth granite. So when his pants fall on the ground and he's just waddling along, he'll usually trip over them and drop the canoe, and honestly, it gave us heart attacks then, but now we just look back on it and it's pretty hilarious. And just the fact that his pants were falling down and he'd be swearing a ton, it was just such a funny memory. Another story, this is a friend of mine, Ryan, who was also there. Because we didn't want to carry all the water with us, we filtered water. So the method we used for that, since there are a lot of really bad diseases you didn't want to get in the water, we did chemical filtration. So you would put about 1 or 2 drops of a chemical compound with iodine. I don't remember it exactly. We just called it iodine. So yeah, we'd put that in the water, shake it, and let it sit for an hour, and it'd be done. Well, my friend Ryan, he spilled this on his thigh. Now, you might think if we're putting it in water, it shouldn't be that bad because we're drinking it. Well, the water dilutes it a ton, and it doesn't hurt us on the inside, but when he spilled it on him, he got a chemical burn from it, and we thought it was just a chemical burn, and that was gonna be it, kind of like a sunburn. But we found out the next day, when he got up, he realized his entire right thigh was orange. And we all looked at it, and upon further inspection, we realized we can see our reflection in his thigh. It was a crystal clear reflection. It was like reflection off of a calm, clear alpine lake. It was probably the craziest thing I've seen on someone's body. And as a joke, you know, whenever we like need a reflection or something, like maybe we were making sure our hair wasn't in a complete mess in the morning, we'd be like, hey Ryan, pull up your pant leg, I need to check something. You know, just to make fun of him on that. Last story I had was another crazy story. So back to DePon again. He was probably the one with the craziest stories, just because that's DePon if you knew him. So one of the things we did on this trip, since after we canoed there wasn't much to do around camp because we were in the middle of nowhere, we'd fish. So DePon, I don't think, caught anything, any fish the entire trip. This was the second to last night, I think, and DePon was just sitting there with his rod. You know, how you do it in Canada or freshwater, they recommend you cast it out and then you reel it back in slowly, try to get the fish to think it's, you know, a bug or something, and fight for it. So DePon, he was just doing that and he wasn't getting any luck, so he thought he'd just do the regular, you know, cast it and just let it sit, which everybody was telling him wasn't going to work, but he just told him screw him and decided to do it that way. So cast it out, just let it sit there, and eventually he fell asleep. Well, he woke up, nothing had caught, obviously, because he had just woken up, and he decided, oh, I'll just reel it in, I'm done for the day. But as soon as he started reeling it in, he felt like a pullback, so, I mean, he was completely confused. He just, it was instantly. It wasn't like he reeled in a bit and then finally a fish caught. No, as soon as he started reeling in, there was a pullback, so he reeled it in some more, and eventually the pullback stopped. It just felt heavier. So when he brought it up, he had caught a clam off of the bottom of the lake bed. We were completely surprised with it. We didn't know there were clams in there, and it was just funny that somehow he caught a clam with a fishing rod. That didn't make any sense to any of us, but okay. Yeah, he caught it, and eventually we cooked and eat it, but the best part was he did it again. He intentionally put, like, heavier weights on the rod so it'd sink faster, and let it sink to the bottom of the lake, and yeah, he waited a bit and then reeled it back up, and sure enough, there was another clam. So we had 2 clams to cook and share between the 8 of us. Yeah, 8 of us. So yeah, that's the story of DePon catching clams. And actually, there's one more story. I can't remember if I said that was the last one. But the last day, we were just across the lake from where we were supposed to be picked up by the float plane. And we decided, all right, once we get across the lake, we're going to unload all our gear. And then we're just going to go out in the middle of the lake and, I don't know, just try to splash each other and try to sink each other's canoes and things like that. So the agreement, though, was we had to get up earlier and get out earlier, get to the other side of the lake earlier. Well, we got up earlier, but we were just tired from getting up earlier, and this was our last day, so we didn't really move as fast as we wanted to. So we didn't, we were under the impression we wouldn't have enough time, but the adult leaders kept on saying, oh no, we'll have enough time, don't worry about it. So the adult leaders convinced us all to get into our canoes, and they were going to be the ones to push us off. So we all got in our canoes, and then there was another group there waiting to be picked up by the same float plane, and the adult leaders started to count down. Well, once they reached 0 and we were ready to be pushed off, they just flipped over our canoes. And so, I mean, we planned on getting wet, but we were quite surprised just to be automatically in the water. And actually, one of my friends managed to, like, somehow he somehow he was ready for the canoe to flip, so as soon as the canoe flipped, he kind of grabbed on and was able to stay on the top of the canoe and climb out of the water fast, or climb off the boat fast enough to stay dry. But yeah, the rest of us got soaked and we were pretty shocked, but that was a pretty funny memory. So yeah, I think that's all the stories I have for Northern Tier. I don't know how many of you know, but this past summer, me, Gunner, not Gunner, me, Nathan, Daniel, and AJ went backpacking, all of their guys' first backpacking trips in Yosemite, and I took some videos on my GoPro with that. So if you guys are interested, we could share some of those videos just to show our adventure. It's very pretty. A lot of mosquitoes, as you'll learn if you watch the videos, but there's some funny stuff to see there. In addition, I think 2 videos ago, I introduced you guys to Will, and he said if you guys comment enough, then he'll show, he'll talk about his life before college, which is pretty crazy. But honestly, I think there were only 2 comments, so honestly that's not real enough, guys. I mean, you guys can do better than that. So if you guys still want to hear Will's story, give some more comments, you know, ask for Will to tell his story, and maybe with enough push, he'll do that. Other than that, I think that's all I have, and hope you guys have a good week. Actually, Thanksgiving is this Thursday, so I hope you guys enjoy your dinners with your families, and enjoy your time off from school and all that, and I will talk to you guys next time.